Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Hera English School channel online teaching. Today inshallah in 10th standard in English subject we are going to see lesson number 4.2, that is the lunch on. Now this is a very humorous story written by William Somerset Maugham. He was born in the year 1874 and died in 1965. He was a distinguished British playwright, novelist, and short story writer. He was among the most popular writers of his era and reputedly the highest paid author during the 1930s. His work is characterized by a clear, unadorned style, cosmopolitan settings, and a shrewd understanding of the human nature. Here you will see a story which is a most delightful, humorous narration which he has done. The Luncheon is a slice of life story about Maugham luncheon date proposed to him by a woman whom he hopes is a supporter of his art. That means this is a story in which once a writer had went to Paris and there he got one of his fan who was very much eager to meet William Somerset. So, this is a story narrated by the writer where he describes in a very humorous way how that date of a lunch invitation and then what happened, what sequence happened during that time. That whole thing is narrated in a beautiful, humorous way. The nature of the lady, the human nature, how it changes, how the controversial and the conversation between the two people takes place, all is described in a very beautiful manner. In short, it is a humorous story. Let us start. It is on page number 151. I caught a sight of her at the play and in answer to her call, I went over during the interval and sat down beside her. It was long since I had last seen her, and if someone has not mentioned her name, I hardly think I would have recognized her. She addressed me brightly. Well, some time ago, the lady was in touch with this writer, and he knew the lady in a very previous time of his life period. So, well, it's many years since we first met. How time does fly. We are none of us getting any younger. Do you remember the first time I saw you? You asked me to lunch on. Did you remember? Did I remember? Sorry. It was 20 years ago and I was living in Paris. I had a tiny apartment and I was earning barely enough money. Now it is regarding the going into the flashback, the old times he remembers when he had a lunch on with this lady. So that lady is describing how it was and then we continue with the story. Okay? It was 20 years back when this writer was in Paris. He was living in a very small apartment, that is house, and he was earning very less amount of money, just enough to survive. Okay? She had read a book of mine and had written to me about it. Now that time also he was the author of a book and that lady had praised him and written a letter to this young writer. I answered thanking her and presently I received from her another letter saying she was passing through Paris and would like to have a chat with me. Now another letter came from her and during that interaction she said that I'm just passing by Paris city where you are present and I would like to have a talk with you. Okay? But her time was limited, and the only free moment she had was on the following Thursday. That means she said that I am coming to Paris for a limited period of time, and also on Thursday she mentioned that. And would I give her a little lunch one at Fayot's afterwards? Now, Fayot's is a hotel, a restaurant in Paris, which was very famous at that time. Fayot's is a restaurant and it was so far beyond my means. What does it mean? That means he was not able to do that much expenses. That means that hotel was a very costly hotel. Okay? That I had never even thought of going there. I had 80 francs, that is gold francs. That is, in France, these dollars were used that time, and he was having 80 francs to last me the rest of the month. Now, for the whole month, he had to spend within that limited amount of money which he was having, that was 80 francs. And a modest lunch should not cost more than 15. He thought that I take a moderate, less expensive kind of a lunch with that lady, it will cost 15 rupees. 15, I mean to say 15 France dollars. If I cut out coffee for the next 2 weeks, that means he decided that he will not drink coffee for next 2 weeks, then that money will be recovered, that will be saved, and then he can add to this expense. Okay, I could manage well enough, so he thought he can do it in a proper manner if he invite the lady for the lunch. I answered that I would meet my friend at Fayot's on Thursday at 12:30. Now at 12:30, he said I will be able to meet that lady. He sent the message to her. She was in appearance imposing rather than attractive, and she gave me the impression of having more teeth, white and large, even than any were necessary for any practical purpose. See, there the humorous lines are mentioned here. He is telling that the lady was not so much attractive to look at, but she gave the impression, that means she was all the time laughing, smiling, and when she was smiling, all her teeth were able to be seen. So these all was given a humorous appearance by William Somerset. Further, we move on to page number 152. She was talkative, but since she seemed to want to talk about me, I was prepared to be an attentive listener. Now she was talking too much and he was not in habit of talking so much. Who? The author. Now the lady started talking, but she was talking about the book of the author, so he had to become an attentive listener. Sometimes we don't want to listen to the people, but we need to pay the attention to see for them that we are giving respect to that person in front of us. Okay, I was started when the menu was brought, for the prices were a great deal higher than I had thought, but she reassured me. Now see, as soon as the menu came, what is menu? That is, in the restaurant, the prices of each dish is mentioned there, and how many dishes are prepared, or what is the specialty of that restaurant, we can see from those card in which all the things are mentioned, described, the food, the dish and its price. Okay, now as soon as he saw this, he saw that the prices were very high of the foods, but she reassured me. What the lady said to him, I never eat anything for lunch on. What she said, that I eat very less amount of food for the lunch. That's why the author became at peace that my money will not be spent excessively. Okay? Oh, don't say that, I answered generously. When you are inviting a person, you cannot say him that you eat less food. So, as a formality, he said, "Oh, don't say that." I answered generously. I never eat more than one thing. I think people eat for too much nowadays. A little fish, perhaps. I wonder if they have any salmon. What she said, don't order too many things. Don't bother about the asking for what dishes to bring, but just ask for the salmon because she liked that fish. Okay, it's a name of the fish, it is salmon. Well, it was early in the year for salmon and it was not on the menu. Now, the seasons of particular fish is there, so that time the fish was not on the menu or that card which was mentioned. But I asked the waiter if there was any. Yes, a beautiful salmon has just come in. So the waiter said yes. Now we are having one beautiful fish which has came in our restaurant. It is available. It was the first they have had. Now in this season they had this first time the fish had came there. I ordered it for my guest. The waiter asked her if she would have something while it was being cooked. Now the waiter asked her that what next order you want to give because it will take some time for the salmon to be cooked. In the meantime, what you need to eat? No, she answered. I never eat more than one thing unless you had a little caviar. Never mind caviar. What do you mean by that? Caviar is a kind of eggs of big fish which are being eaten and they are very tasty in flavor. So that kind of dish she wanted to eat. I knew I could not afford caviars. Now caviars were very expensive as they were a product from the fish and fishes are also costly. But I could not very well tell her that. But as he had invited the lady, he cannot tell the lady that it is too expensive. For myself, I choose the cheapest dish. What he thought in his mind that now what big costly things she is ordering, so I will order something very cheap so that the budget will be not be extended. I choose the cheapest dish on the menu and that was a mutton chop. Okay, I think you are unwise to eat meat, she said. I don't believe in overloading my stomach. Now, what she says? See, the costly salmon she has ordered, she has ordered the caviar, and now she is telling to the author that you are not wise in choosing the dish. You have asked for mutton chop. Now, mutton chops will make your stomach very heavy, and you will be having excess of amount of food or fats in your body. She says that I don't believe in overloading my stomach. That means the two dishes she has already ordered, but she is telling to the author that he is going to eat more. Okay, now it is a kind of a humor. She ate the caviar and she ate the salmon. Okay, first she asked for the eggs of the fish, that is caviar, and then the fish salmon came in and she ate that also. She talked gaily of art. Gaily means in a happy mood. She talked about the literature, the arts, the drawing, the paintings, and the literature and the music. But I wondered what the bill would come to. Now his concentration was not in the talks because he was all the time having concentration that how much bill will come, because he was afraid as he was earning only 80 France dollars for the whole of that month, and how that budget of his whole month will be in a bad shape if the bill is excess than he has thought. So his total concentration was not on the talk. Only he was thinking that what the bill will come. When my mutton chopped arrived, she took me quite serious to task. Now, when he was eating the mutton chop, she started talking. I see that you are in the habit of eating a heavy lunch on. Or she is telling that it is not a proper habit of yours. You are eating a very heavy lunch on. I am sure it's a mistake. Why don't you follow my example? She's saying, see my example. And just one thing. And just eat one thing. That means she's telling that order only one thing. I have ordered one thing. Is it so? No, she ordered first the caviar and then the salmon. But she is praising herself and telling to the author that I have ordered only one thing. I couldn't possibly eat anything more unless they had those giant asparagus. Now see what she's telling. She said that I cannot eat more than one thing at a time. But if they are having giant asparagus, I should be sorry to leave Paris without having some of them. See the third dish she is asking about now. The first one was the caviar, then the salmon fish she ate, and now she is asking about the giant asparagus. She is telling that I will be feeling very bad if I have not eaten the giant asparagus even after coming to Paris. My heart sank. What does it mean? That means now the tension grew in the mind and heart of the author. I had seen them in the shops. Many a times he had seen the shop the dishes and the tag with the amount, cost of it. And I knew that they were horribly expensive. That means they were very much expensive. Which dish? Giant asparagus. My mouth had often watered at the sight of them. Always he wanted to eat those, but because they were too expensive, he never tried. Okay? But as he was the host, and I am not in the least hungry, my guest signed. But if you insist, I don't mind having some asparagus. Now she herself only telling that I don't want to eat, I am not much interested, but if you are insisting me, definitely I will eat. I ordered them. So it was no choice left for the host, so he ordered asparagus. Aren't you going to have any? Now the lady asked to the host that are you not going to have any? No, I never eat asparagus. What he said? No, I never eat asparagus. Why he is telling this way? Because he don't want to increase the bill, as he is already afraid at what the bill is going to be. We waited for the asparagus to be cooked. Panic seized me. What does it mean? Panic means he was totally in a kind of a tension mood, that how much the bill will come and whether he will afford to pay the bill or not. It was not a question now of how much money I should have left over for the rest of the month, but whether I had enough to pay the bill. Now the situation was like this, that whether he will go out of the restaurant without paying the bill or not, because he didn't know what going to be the bill. It would be mortifying to find myself 10 francs short and be obliged to borrow from my guest. Mortifying means a kind of a shame it will be to ask from the guest the money, because he definitely thought that maybe some dollars may be less I am having, and it will be quite embarrassing to take the money from the guest. I knew exactly how much I had, and if the bill came to more, I made up my mind that I would put my hands in my pocket and with a dramatic cry. See the idea he had, that if the bill was very high and he was not able to pay the bill, he will put his hands in the pocket and then he will cry dramatically, start up and say it had been picked. That means my purse has been lost. Somebody has taken away my purse. Okay. Of course, it would be awkward. Awkward means not having a respectable situation, a very embarrassing situation. If she had not money enough either to pay the bill. Now he was thinking that what if that lady was also not having some money in her pocket? Then the only thing would be to leave my watch and say I would come back and pay later. Now, the options he was thinking about, if the bill was so much, then what he is going to do? The next step came in his mind that I am having an expensive watch on my hand. That watch I will keep here and I will say to the restaurant owner that I will come later and take back my watch. Okay? Now, the asparagus appeared. I watched her thrust through down her throat in large mouthfuls. Now she was very eagerly eating it in a hurried manner and big amount at a time she was taking inside her mouth. So at last she finished coffee. I asked that lady whether she will have coffee. Yes, just an ice cream and coffee. What she said? Ice cream also I want and coffee also. She answered. I was past caring now, so I ordered coffee for myself and an ice cream and coffee for her. Okay? See the humor here. She is not till now having stomach full, and every time she is telling that I eat only one thing at a time. Okay? Now she want ice cream as well as coffee. So the author orders for himself only the coffee and for the lady ice cream and the coffee. You know, there is one thing I thoroughly believe in, she said as she ate the ice cream. One should always get up from a meal feeling one could eat a little more. Now she says that every time we should not eat stomach full. We should get up if our stomach is half filled, that time only little space to be kept empty in the stomach. It's a funny kind of a dialogue she says when she herself is not following that. First she asks for the caviar, then she asks for the salmon, then she asks for the giant asparagus, then she was asking for ice cream and coffee, and still she was telling one should leave some space in our stomach, not should become the stomach should not become very full. Are you still hungry? I asked faintly. Now in a slow voice I asked that lady that still she wanted to eat something. Oh no, I am not hungry. You see, I don't eat luncheon. I have a cup of coffee in the morning and then dinner. But I never eat more than one thing for luncheon. I was speaking for you. Now what she is telling that I don't like to eat many things. In the morning I take the coffee and directly I take the dinner. Very many less times I eat the lunch. I was asking for you. That means she was asking for the author. Oh, I see. Then a terrible thing happened. While we were waiting for the coffee, the head waiter came up to us bearing a large basket full of huge peaches. Now that was the season of the peaches, apple-like fruit, especially grown in the British area. But surely peaches were not in season then. Lord knew what they cost. I knew a little later, for my guest, going on with her conversation, absent-mindedly took one. Now when the basket was going through from there, she took from the waiter's hand the basket, one of the big peach. You see, you have filled your stomach with a lot of meat. Now she is addressing to the author that you had the mutton chop and they made your stomach very heavy. My one miserable little chop, and you can't eat any more. But I have just had a snack, and I shall enjoy a peach. What she said, only just small bit of things or little things I have eaten, though, so there is still space left in my stomach and I can eat definitely a peach. The bill came, and when I paid it, I found that I had only enough for a quite, that is insufficient adequate tip. Inadequate tip. Her eyes rested for an instant on the 3 francs I left for the waiter. Now see here, the bill came and it was exactly what money he was having. Only 3 francs dollars were left with him, which he gave as a tip to the waiter. Now we turn on to the last page, that is 154. And I knew that she thought by means, but when I walked out of the restaurant, I had the whole month before me and not a penny in my pocket. She was looking and feeling that the $3 were very less amount of money which was there for the waiter. But this man, the author, knew that how he is going to go without the money the whole month. Follow my example, she said as she shook hands. She said, you see how less I am eating and making quite comfortable with my stomach. Follow my example, she said as we shook hands, and never eat more than one thing for lunch on. What she says, never eat more than one thing for lunch on. But actually she has ate lot many things. I will do better than that, I retorted. I will eat nothing for dinner tonight. What he said? Yes, I am going to do better than this. Why? Because he already did not had any of the money left with him to buy any food. Humorist, she cried gaily. Gaily means happily. Jumping into a cab. You are quite a humorist. She said that you are joking, you are a funny person. But I have had my revenge at last. I do not believe that I am a vindictive. That means I am a person who can take revenge. But when the gods take a hand in the matter, it is understandable to observe the result with satisfaction. Today she weighs 21 stones. Okay. So this is the last statement here. With this lesson ends. We'll continue inshallah next time. Jazakallah.